And I was looking at the ingredients that we were using at my previous company, and I was just like, this doesn't feel right. And even at my first company that I started, where I was developing skincare products, I saw a lot of people in production getting sick from making lipsticks, from making certain things, because these ingredients, they get into your lungs. And so it started as sort of a small idea of, I want to do better, I can do better, to essentially us both leaving and reconnecting after we left to say, let's start something. Let's take those principles of good for you, anti-inflammatory ingredients, and let's apply it to fragrance.
Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, a safe space for ambitious beauty industry creatives to have real talk, get real answers, and practical tools to grow their businesses. My name is Aquia Robinson, and I'm a makeup artist, beauty educator, and the creator of Friends in Beauty. I created Friends in Beauty to support like-minded creatives just like you on their quest to connect, network, and build genuine relationships within the beauty community. Join me every week as me and my special guests reveal the keys to success and longevity in the beauty industry, and most importantly, have fun while doing it. You ready? Hey, what's up? It's your best friend in beauty, Aquia Robinson. Welcome back to another episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast. I am so happy to have you here, and I hope you're listening to this episode in high spirits and in good health. If you are a friend in beauty, I welcome you to join the Friends in Beauty Facebook community. If you're looking for a community of like-minded, ambitious friends in beauty to virtually connect with, network, and share resources, then click the link down below in the show description to join us in the Facebook community, and I'll be there to welcome you with open arms. Also, let's get social. Follow Friends in Beauty on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty. Additionally, the Friends in Beauty podcast is available on several platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google, YouTube, you name it, we are there. And whatever platform you are listening from right now, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into the Friends in Beauty podcast. I appreciate it more than you know. And I would love it even further if you took the time to leave a 5-star rating, a review, a like, a comment, a share, a subscribe, or something to let me know how you feel about the Friends in Beauty podcast. Additionally, Friends in Beauty is now on Patreon. So for as little as $3 a month, you can support the Friends in Beauty podcast. And there are also several tiers available that unlock Patreon exclusive content just for you, like behind the scene content of the Friends in Beauty podcast, bonus interview clips, a monthly Ask Me Anything, discounts, and so much more. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'll leave the link down below in the show description for that as well. Also, if you'd like to stay connected even further, join the Friends in Beauty mailing list tribe. They are the first to know about all things Friends in Beauty, and I send out different resources and tips throughout the week. So if that's something that you're interested in, join us over there. And last but not least, listen up. The most important thing is to share the Friends in Beauty podcast with your other friends in beauty, your family, your friends, anybody that you think could benefit from the information that is being shared. Share away to help me grow the Friends in Beauty community. Now, on this episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast, I welcome the co-founder of Esas Beauty, Seda Bilginer, to the Friends in Beauty guest chair. After working in the corporate beauty industry for a combination of over 25 years, Seda and Amanda set out to create a sustainable, all-natural farms-to-beauty manufacturing company. Inspired by their mutual love for science, agritech, wellness, and innovation, they saw a true need to create skincare and cosmetics that deliver superior benefits without compromising the health of the people who use them, the health of the people that make them, and Mother Nature. But at the core of what this brand is simply just love. Their love for wanting better things for all of us. Seda is determined to disrupt the beauty sector by improving upon antiquated industry norms. Inspired by her parents' work ethic and her grandparents' love of all natural things, Seda knew from the start that she was destined to create organic products essential to wellness. Seda pursued a degree in chemistry with a minor in math before starting to work in the corporate beauty sector, first in skincare formulation and then at a leading fragrance and flavor corporation for over 15 years. Her experiences are diverse and include laboratory, product development, and account management in both fine fragrance and consumer products. She managed a Fortune 500 company and leader in bath and body care to become one of the company's largest accounts. A proven leader herself, Seda is ready to evolve and transform the beauty industry into a modern and healthier era. I had such a wonderful time chatting with Seda. Let me tell you, I don't know much about the world of fragrance aside from my faves, but when I tell you, Seda laid it all out for me. I was even ready to blow out the candle that I had burning after learning so much from her about the toxins that we're being exposed to on a daily basis without even realizing it. She said that we're microdosing toxins, and that just like totally blew my mind. Like, oh my gosh. So in this interview, Seda shares some of her experiences with working with a leading fragrance corporation for 15 years, the inspiration behind creating Esas Beauty, how candle smoke is the new secondhand smoke, and the thousands of toxins we're being exposed to on a daily basis with just fragrance alone, how the people who make the traditional fragrance products are getting sick in the production process, the fun and product development process for Esas Beauty, as well as supply chain challenges and solutions, how her and Amanda's cultural backgrounds are expressed throughout the brand, why big brands choose not to go the all-natural or organic route, and so much more. Get ready to have your mind blown. I am so grateful to Seda for being so open and transparent with us on the podcast. I really learned so much. So if you're interested in adopting a more all-natural approach to beauty, then definitely check out Esas Beauty. Let's go ahead and jump into this amazing conversation with Seda. And if you prefer to watch our beautiful faces, then tune in on YouTube. Enjoy. Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, Seda.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure. I have one half of Esas here with us. I'm so excited to talk about your brand because anything that's like all natural and like sourcing ingredients and things like that, I just love to hear like the process behind it. So I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah. So before we get into it, I want to start off with some icebreaker questions so the Friends in Beauty audience can get to know you a little bit outside of what you do for your brand. So the first one, just give us 3 random facts about you.
Okay. Well, I have a 6-month-old.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's something new. I am first generation Turkish American.
Okay.
And another random fact. I always stumble when I get asked these questions. And I was married in 2020.
Okay.
I guess that's another random fact.
Nice. So you got married in 2020. You have a 6-month-old and you're Turkish American.
Yes.
I love that. Okay. Do you have any hidden talents?
I wish I did, because they wouldn't be hidden if I did.
I
think maybe perseverance.
I know that's right.
Something I'm still working on.
Yes. Okay. I have these pod decks here. They have like these random questions in it. One is a what the heck and would you rather? Which one would you like?
Let's try would you rather.
Would you rather? Okay. I always warn people I did not come up with these questions. It's something crazy. Don't judge me. Let's see.
Don't judge me.
Would you rather blow up 100 balloons or lick 500 envelopes?
Balloons.
Balloons?
I'd rather blow up balloons.
100? Oh yeah, 100 balloons. I think I can handle that.
Yeah, I saw that episode. I don't know if you watched Seinfeld. But George Costanza's fiance, she died from licking too many envelopes. So I have this thing with envelopes.
Yeah. Especially with like back in the day with like the anthrax thing that was going on mail and stuff. I don't know.
I'll be here blowing up balloons.
I love that. What do people always tell you that you're good at aside from what you do professionally?
Wow. What do people tell me I'm good at? I think I've always been told I can carry a lot on my shoulders. So no, like not a specific talent yet again. It's not like I'm good at any sport or anything particular like that, but good at handling a lot. If that,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I can understand it.
Is that like a good and bad thing? Because like, do people
Sure,
assume
it
that you
can
can
be.
take it, like you could just take it?
Uh-huh, exactly. I was told that in my previous corporate career.
Hmm.
And I took it as a compliment, but later on I'm like, wait a second, is that good? But I guess it's a good thing. That's why I'm here today, having started SS Beauty. So
Yeah, that and the perseverance.
exactly.
Okay. What is your favorite item that you have bought this year for yourself?
Well, being a founder and a new mom, I can tell you, I probably bought 3 things for myself. None of them, I would say, wow, that's a really good question. And interestingly enough, a tough one to answer. What have I bought for myself? I
Yeah.
got, I did get a new car,
Okay.
an electric car.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, fully electric. It's amazing. I haven't been to the gas station once, so that's been fun.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm always curious about the electric cars. Like, so you just have to like plan ahead, like if you're going like on a road trip and like map out where the
Kind of. So
stations
there's
are?
something called range anxiety. And so, which I had a lot in the beginning. I'm like, I can't go anywhere unless it's, I can map it out. And so you kind of get used to it.
Mhm.
I get almost 300 miles. And right now with the baby, my work is close with me. I kind of just travel within a very short, uh, vicinity. So it works out. But it's really like once you get used to that anxiety, it's amazing. And
Oh,
it's always good to have one car that, operates on gas, let me tell you,
just in case.
just in case.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last one, if you weren't the, co-founder of SIs, what else could you see yourself doing?
Okay. Well, I did work at my previous company for 15 years. So I love fragrance, I love beauty, and I definitely see myself in that. So I think I would have still been there.
Mhm.
Or I do also have it in me. I always wanted to have my own company. And so if it wasn't SS Beauty, the founder of this company, I think it would have been a founder of another company for sure.
Okay. I like that. I like that. You still would have ended up right where you're supposed to be.
I think so. I think
Mhm.
so. It was something I never wanted to go into corporate. It was just really not something I ever dreamed of, but I'm
Mhm.
glad I did,
Yeah.
because it made me a stronger, co-founder and leader. But I do think that if, I would have been a founder in another capacity for sure.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. How did you and Amanda meet?
So we met at my previous company.
Okay.
We were on the same team. I kind of managed the account and she was the technical lead. And so we essentially bonded over a lot of technical issues that our candles were having.
Okay.
And we, became fast friends because we worked day and night there as well.
Mhm.
And we sort of developed this bond over not only things going wrong in production, but also I had started this wellness journey and I was telling her about it. And so we started to bond over that.
Nice. Okay. So you were working in corporate for a candle company?
So I was working in corporate for the world's largest fragrance company. And
Okay.
the way it works is essentially have a handful of fragrance manufacturers that create all of the fragrances that you smell and you essentially experience in the world.
Mhm.
And I would say the company I worked for probably creates over 50% of those fragrances in the
Wow.
world. And we're like the people behind the people. You don't really hear about us. We don't really want you to hear about us. We don't have a consumer facing platform.
Uh-huh.
And so even if I told you the company name, you wouldn't have heard about it. But so I worked there for 15 years. And my last client is the largest candle maker in the United States. And
That
so
is
we made
so
a lot of candles.
that is really cool. Like, how do you get into that type of job?
It's a good question because if you ask anybody, or I would say 60%, 70% of the people that work there, they all say, I don't know how I ended up here. I didn't even know this industry existed
Yeah.
because there is not a lot of PR right behind that industry. You don't necessarily find these companies, in colleges coming to you and recruiting you. I kind of just ended up there. So growing up, I always loved fragrance. I mean, I just loved smell. My first memory is associated with smell, right? So many of those memories, just like for everybody, you just associate with smell. And my mom had a refrigerator of fragrances. And I would always go through that refrigerator of fragrances. I would play and I would smell. And I always remember saying to myself, I just love smell. And they would actually call me a bloodhound growing up because I love smelling things so much. But I never thought I want to make fragrance. I just didn't really know how it got there. I assumed that the companies that make products also make fragrances, but that's not really how it works. You have companies that make products and you have companies that make fragrances. And the companies that make the products will buy the fragrances from the company that I worked for. And so I studied chemistry because I think I had a natural knack for it. I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I was contemplating getting my PhD, and I met someone who gave me an internship at a private label manufacturer in skincare products. And so I said, great, I love skincare, I love beauty. And so I started interning there. Once I finished college, I got a full-time job there as a cosmetic chemist. I was there for a few years. And I had a friend who had a friend. It's one of those things, that's that industry. It's almost like you kind of have to know somebody to get in there. I had a friend of a friend who said they were looking for a lab technician. And I said, okay, that sounds interesting. I always wanted to be in fragrance. Let me take a chance. And so I went to interview and I absolutely fell in love. It was this beautiful office on 57th Street in New York City. And that's the end of that story. 15 years later, actually now 18 years later, here I am.
I absolutely love that. That is so cool. I don't think I know any cosmetic chemists, but now I do. I'm always so curious about like the behind the scenes of these products being made. And I love that you mentioned like the majority of these fragrance brands all come from pretty much the same company.
Yeah, the same. Like I would say the top 3 companies create over 80% of the fragrances. And that's anywhere from, the Tom Ford fragrances that you smell, the Calvin Klein to Tide to Downy. And so the same companies create all those fragrances.
I like that. Because I always tell people like certain industries are just like one of those things that you don't know what goes on behind the scenes or goes into it unless you're in it. And I think beauty is like really one of those things because it's easy to tell somebody, yeah, I want to work in fragrance. And they're like, girl, like you ain't gonna make no money because they don't know, what goes on behind the scenes.
Yep, absolutely.
I really like that. What inspired you to create Esas Beauty?
So as I mentioned before, I always loved fragrance. I always had this sort of intuitive sense for smell. I smelled my way through life. I still don't eat something if I don't like the way it smells. And so it's funny that I ended up here. I would say around 2010, I got Lyme disease and I got pretty sick from it. And, I was sick for years, like every 2 to 3 weeks, I was on antibiotics for just a cold, a flu, what have you, tonsillitis. And I was getting sick and tired of being sick, right? It's quite the inconvenience and it just didn't feel good anymore. And I came across this diet, this anti-inflammatory lifestyle. And I said, let me give this a try. And it's nothing crazy. It's essentially just focusing on anti-inflammatory foods, organic, good for you ingredients. And it completely changed my life. Like I did a 180 from being sick almost every other week to not being sick fully since. And that it's been now like a decade almost, right? And that was the wellness journey I was telling you about before. And I started talking to Amanda about it. I'm like, you have to try this. It's just amazing. Because she was getting sick too. And she also had some chronic issues that she was dealing with. And so she started it and she couldn't believe it. And I'm like, I no longer feel good about the products that we're making. And if eating a certain way, just pure, good, organic, good for you ingredients can have such an impact on me from the inside out, what can we do that can have the same impact for people from the outside in, right? And I was looking at the ingredients that we were using at my previous company, and I was just like, this doesn't feel right. And even at my first company that I started where I was developing skincare products, I saw a lot of people in production getting sick from making lipsticks, from
Wow.
making certain things, because these ingredients, they get into your lungs. And so it started as sort of a small idea of, I want to do better. I can do better, to essentially us both leaving
Hmm.
and reconnecting after we left to say, let's start something,
Yeah.
let's take those principles of good for you, anti-inflammatory ingredients, and let's apply it to fragrance.
Wow. You just said a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Because I can't believe that people are getting sick from like creating the
Yeah.
products and then getting into their systems.
It's crazy. Oftentimes you don't think about the people who are making your products,
Mm.
right? It's like, okay, maybe I'm using a product that's not that good for me, but it's such a low level, let's say preservative. It's such a low level that it's not going to affect me. Number one, that's not true. But more importantly, the people in production are exposed to 100% of that ingredient all day long, every day.
Right.
And it's crazy. And I feel like if people knew the effect they were having on other people making their products, they would probably want to make better decisions.
Hmm.
And so the idea behind SS Beauty is not only making products that are good for consumers, but also making products that are good for the people who make them.
Hmm. Hmm.
And of course, the planet.
Right. So when you were on your wellness journey, did you switch out some of the products that you were using as well, or was it
Everything.
strictly like, okay?
Everything. Yeah, I try to switch everything out because you start to realize, you're microdosing in toxins every day. It's not, it's a new day. It's not like it was when your grandparents were around, where, okay, they were 80% of the time eating well, taking care of themselves, you know, they were never really exposed to the toxins that we were exposed to. But today we're just constantly exposed to, whether it be air pollution, or we're using more products than ever. We're using more scented products than ever. I
Yeah.
think there is a statistic that says the average person is exposed to over 100 products that are scented a day.
Hmm.
And each fragrance has around 100 to 200 chemicals in it. So if you just do that simple math, you're exposed to thousands of chemicals, and that's just through your fragrance alone.
Hmm.
And so we're just being exposed to all sorts of things. It's like, why not try and reduce your toxic intake, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, that's the best we can do is reduce it, because
Reduce
we
it.
can totally get away from it at this point with
No, there is no
outside.
avoiding it. Exactly. Exactly. And that's what it is. It's not necessarily about hiding, in a hole away from everything, but it's just about making conscious decisions that allow you to reduce your toxic intake.
Absolutely. So what was the first product that you developed for Esas? Was it fragrance?
So funny enough, we have a cosmetics line, we have a skincare line, but
Hmm.
when COVID happened and we were planning on launching in March of 2020, but then COVID happened, of course. And we said, okay, we need to hit the pause button on launching anything. It's just
Yeah.
not the right time to do that. Everybody is scared. We're confused. We don't know what's happening. And throughout that time, I had a lot of my family members reaching out to me and saying, Seda, can you make a product called Colonia? And as I mentioned to you, my background is Turkish, although I was born in Queens, but my family is from Turkey. And I spent all my summers visiting my grandparents and my cousins in Turkey. So that's a big part of who I am.
Yeah.
And so Colonia is a product that is essentially the Turkish word for cologne. And it's inspired by eau de cologne from Germany.
Hmm.
And it's used to cleanse your hands, sanitize your hands, and you kind of just splash it all over. It's a nice refresh too. Some people use it as a fragrance. Some people use it as, deodorant. My dad uses it as aftershave. So it's just like,
Hmm.
you know, one size fits all product.
Yeah.
But during the pandemic, a lot of Turkish people were obviously using it for its sole purpose as a sanitizer, but they
Mhm.
couldn't find it anywhere. So they called us and they said, hey, do you think you can make me some? And I'm like, I don't have time, to make you product. Like, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. We need to really pivot. And Amanda's like, wait a second. I think that's an amazing idea. And after we had both left, we actually met up in Turkey. And when we were in Turkey in the summer of 2019, before all this craziness went down, we came across the product Colonia everywhere
Mm.
because it's a real symbol in Turkey. The idea behind it is that you're supposed to offer it to people that come into your home. And
Mhm.
it's a sign of like joy. So you say something called, it's a phrase in Turkish that's hoş geldin, which means welcome with joy. And the person receiving the product says hoş bulduk, which means I found joy. And so the idea is like, I want you here, welcome, make yourself at home. You give them some colonia, they cleanse their hands, they kind of just go like this just to give themselves a quick refresh. And Amanda fell in love with the product and she's like, we should make this one day. I'm like, yeah, definitely. Little did we know we'd be making a whole line of it and launching that product in August of 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. So we kind of pivoted from where we were launching cosmetics and skincare to becoming more of a fragrance company.
I like that. So does the colonia come in like different scents, or is it like a standard scent when it's in Turkey?
Yeah. So the main scent that colonia is known for is like a very citrus lemony scent. But when we launched, we did 6 scents and people loved it so much that they kept reaching out to us and saying, can you do a jasmine? Can you do a this? And can you do a that? And we're like, okay. So now we have over 25 scents and it comes in 3 different sizes. And so we do, anything from vanilla to woody. We have seasonal scents right now for the holidays that people love. So
yes, I love that. Can you speak to, okay, so in your industry, can you speak to like being not necessarily innovative, but jumping at an opportunity, like when you see it? So for example, the colonia, it was like perfect timing for COVID. Because I feel like sometimes I'm always like a little slow to jump on things. Like,
yeah.
saw opportunity there with COVID happening in the colonia. Does that happen often when you're able to like jump at an opportunity, like, and be ahead of it?
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting because it's all about listening to what people want, right? And being able to give it to them when they want it in a timely fashion. And so they say it's all about listening to your consumer. And that's kind of what we're doing. Like I said, we started from being cosmetics first, skincare, to now fragrance. And the reason that we went into fragrance is not because we were like, we need to do fragrance only, but what we realized is that organic fragrance did not exist on the market. And when you have people reaching out to you and saying, I love your colonia scents, can you make an organic perfume? And you're like, oh, okay. And then, so we're like, let's make perfume. And then we had those very same people reaching out to us and saying, I love your perfumes, can you make organic candles? And we're like, oh. And so every product that we've since launched from colonia to today is because we had this overwhelming request from customers reaching out to us and saying, we can't find these organic products on the market. Can you please make them for us?
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
So yeah, it's just all really about listening to what people are looking for versus being in your own head and saying, you know what, I think I want to make this just because.
Yeah. I saw that your hand cleanser has bok choy in it. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
What is the benefit of that? Because
Yeah.
I'm finding that a lot of companies now are using things that we would just normally consume and put into the products. I'm like, what is that?
What's going on? So I love that question because it allows me to talk about, so during COVID, there was a lot of supply chain disruptions, especially for farmers. So what was ended up happening was that they were left with a surplus of food that they could not sell. And when Amanda and we read this article, we were like, this is crazy. We live in New Jersey. There are so many farms around us. We are an organic company. What can we do? And so what we did was we reached out to local organic farms and also vertical indoor farms. And we said, we are a beauty company. We would love to take your surplus vegetables, not old, just surplus, and turn them into extracts. And so that's what we did. All of our colonia is something you can even use on your face. It's a really premium formulation. It's anti-inflammatory, it's hydrating, it has plant-based hyaluronic acid. The idea wasn't just to sanitize your hands, but it was to take care of your skin. And so the bok choy has a multitude of vitamins in it that's just super anti-inflammatory. It has antioxidants. It's just a really amazing ingredient. And so we're like, we eat this on the regular, why not put it on your skin? Your skin is your largest organ, right? And so it deserves those kinds of ingredients too.
Yes, feed your skin.
Feed your skin. I love it.
I love that. Oh my gosh. So is it a not hard, but is it a long process to turn something like bok choy into an extract?
Yeah, it is. We sort of came up with our own process so that we preserve the most amount of nutrients as possible. So
Mhm.
everything we do is cold processing. We don't apply heat to it so that
Okay.
we do preserve those nutrients. And so it does take a while for us to sort of go through that process, but it's fully worth it.
Yeah, it makes it that much more special. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. What are the list of products that you sell now?
So we have the Cologne hand cleansers. We have
Mhm.
organic perfumes. We have organic candles, and we have now deo sprays.
Okay, what's Dio sprays?
So deodorant spray.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So people were using the cologne as a deodorant,
Mhm.
as I was, especially when I was pregnant. I stopped using deodorant a very long time ago because of the, toxic ingredients in it. And I found that a lot of the natural deodorants were kind of like cakey, and they made you feel a little less fresh, than you want it to be.
Yeah.
And so we were using the cologne. We heard people using the cologne, which is great, but we're like, how can we make this even more deodorizing?
Mhm.
And so we formulated a product that meets all those criteria. It's refreshing, it smells really good, it's deodorizing, and of course, it's all natural and organic. And
Yeah.
so that's our latest launch.
Yeah. And with your candles, like okay, you have to tell us what's so unique about your candles because I read in your description, candle smoke is the new secondhand smoke. And I was like, what? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. So
it's crazy.
you have to tell us like what makes your candles so unique and different from the other things that are on
Yeah.
the market.
So as I mentioned, we worked on the largest candle company for almost a decade.
Yeah.
And I love candles. Who doesn't love candles? It's amazing. And we want to have our candle and we want to burn our candle. So when we talk about reducing your toxic intake, it's not like, okay, let's get rid of this scent experience. Let's no longer use candles. We're like, no, that's sad. Who wants to have an unscented world? And
Yeah.
so like, we need to figure out how to do this better, because the typical conventional candle is made from paraffin wax, which is petroleum based.
Mm.
And the byproduct of that is really harmful chemicals. I'm sure you've heard of, in the last couple of years, a lot of products being recalled for benzene, like sunscreens and
Mhm.
deodorants. And it's for those petroleum based byproduct ingredients.
Okay.
And so that's what happens when you burn a lot of these candles. You're emitting these toxins into the air. And in a very small space, right? You're in your bedroom, you're in your living room. And so if you're burning these candles all day, every day, which now people are more than ever because we're home more than ever, you're getting these toxins 10 times more than you did before.
Right.
And so we said, okay, let's deconstruct what the conventional candle looks like and how can we make it better. So it
Mhm.
took a while, to be honest with you, because we didn't want to use anything standard, as we never do, but it makes our job a lot harder. And when we're formulating, we don't only think about what's good for you, but we also think about the planet. And so paraffin is not only bad for you, not only bad for the planet. So that was obviously not an option.
Mhm.
It does burn great, unfortunately. So we needed to find something that burned great as well, which is not always easy to do. And that's why it is such a standard. There are
Yeah.
soy candles, and you hear a lot of the times, oh, soy candles are so much better than paraffin candles. Soy is horrible, horrible for the environment.
Oh
And
man.
so that was not an option. And soy farming is really bad for the environment, I should say. And over 90% of soy is GMO.
Mm.
And so we said, that's not an option. So we did a lot of research and we found this old Japanese tradition of using this Japanese berry wax that they harvest in the wild. And so we said, there's something there. And so we created our own formula using some of that berry wax to create our new organic candle. And so it doesn't have any soot. We're not emitting any toxins into your environment. And of course, the fragrances that we add into the candles are, fully all natural and organic as well.
You about to make me blow out my candle that I got. Ready?
Sorry, I know. It's like the last thing we want to do is tell people that, because it's, we trust me, nobody loves candles more than we do. We worked on them for so long, and it was devastating to read how harmful they are for you. And this is not just hearsay. These are actual scientific studies that were done.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting. I think as I've gotten older, I just realized like a lot of the information that we are fed as far as like our health is like just for the benefit of like the bigger companies. Like they have been tricking us and telling us
I
all
know.
types of stuff all of our lives, and it's
It
like
feels that
ingrained
way.
in us. Yeah, it's so crazy.
It is crazy. It's
Oh
it's time wwhere I feel like people kind of have to do their own research a little bit,
my- Mhm.
and just take control of your own health because nobody else is going to help you with that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So if your degree in chemistry, I know Amanda has a degree in cosmetic chemistry.
She
Like
has a
have
master's.
Yeah, a master's.
Yeah.
Yes, in cosmetic chemistry. Have you all ever tried your hand at making like products before you started SIS Beauty? Like just on your own, just like for your
Yeah.
own?
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. The first thing I mean, so in my previous career, I actually made products, lotions, creams, cosmetics, the whole thing.
Okay.
But even before starting SS Beauty, I tried making a nail polish
Ooh.
because nail polish is probably the number one offender when it comes to not
Toxins.
toxic, and then also exposing the manicurist, right? Like you're exposing people to these horrible toxins too while getting your manicures and pedicures. And so I said, that would be something interesting to develop. And so we did try our hand at that for quite a long time. That's something we're still working on. It's quite difficult. That's why it doesn't exist, a fully organic nail polish
Mhm,
that also looks good, might I add. We did create something, it just doesn't look good yet,
mhm.
but stay tuned.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. So what is I guess the product development process for you all when it comes to like sourcing your products, extractions, creating a
Mhm.
product, and how do you then like test it out to make sure it's something that people actually want to use?
Mhm. So ideas can come from anywhere, as you know. For us so far, most of our ideas, if not all of them, have come from our customers.
Mhm.
And so we have like our whole wall is one big dry erase board. And it's kind of where we ideate, it's where we put all of our ideas. So anytime we start to get this influx of requests for a certain product, we start to put it on there. Or let's say we come across an interesting product, we put it on there. And once every week or every 2 weeks, what we'll do is we'll brainstorm, okay, what new product do we want to start to develop? And we'll start to sort of hack away at it. What we'll do is we'll say, okay, let's develop. We have a new product coming out actually in a few months. And so what we'll do is we'll start to make some sample formulations, very basic, just so we start to understand which way do we want to go. We'll make those formulations. Amanda and I will start testing it on ourselves. We'll then have friends and family test it. And then once we feel like, okay, this is good enough to start asking customers if they like it, we'll
Mhm.
then poll our customers. And we have something called SS Scent Club that we've created. And the idea is that we want to test product prior to fully launching with our customers because, sometimes we talk to ourselves and we don't want to do that. And so we'll send a handful of our customers, anywhere from 8 to 10, a handful of our products, and we'll ask them for their feedback. And until we get it to a place where everyone is super happy with the product, it's sort of iterative. So we just kind of go back and forth. We'll tweak, we'll tweak, we'll tweak. And in terms of sourcing, we source everything ourselves. We make everything ourselves. The only thing that we outsource is the packaging.
Okay.
And so it takes anywhere with testing from, I would say, 5 months to 7, 8 months.
Mhm. Just to like solidify if that's the product you want to use or
Exactly.
okay. How long does it take typically to make a fragrance?
Oh, that's a great question.
Like
And
in production now.
so in production, so once we have like the sample approved in production, it can take up to anywhere from 3, 4 days to a week. Just
Okay.
because our fragrances too, they're not just fragrance formulas, they're skin hydrating. So we have extracts in there as well.
Mhm.
The idea is like your skin is your biggest organ. So anytime we're applying something to our skin, we want to make sure that there's an added benefit other than just scenting.
Mhm.
And because we have all these cold press extracts, it takes longer than the typical fragrance to make.
This is so cool to me. I think like my dream job would be to be like in somebody's lab, like just trying to make
Come on
products.
over.
That would be, do not tempt me. Look, I'm juggling with an idea in my head for Friends in Beauty, like coming behind the scenes to
Mhm.
like people like yourself and
I
like
love
see,
that.
what's going on and how you make your products. I would love to come and visit you.
Oh, we'd love to have you. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna figure it out and make that happen because I would just tickle me to have on a little white lab coat or something like
Uh-huh.
that.
Yep.
I like that so much. This is such a random question, but with you being first generation over here, was there a lot of pressure on you as far as like career path and just being
Yes.
successful? And did your
100%.
parents not see the vision with like the industry that you chose to go into?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We had two choices. It was either to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And anything outside of that, of course, my parents came here when they were so young and they worked so hard to provide, a life for us. They didn't know the language, they didn't have anything. And so they didn't want us to go through the same difficulties. And so they wanted us to have a very stable, risk-free sort of life. And of course, a doctor is the perfect, journey to that risk-free life. Of course, didn't do that. I did major in chemistry. I was interested in pre-med at one point. But I just quickly realized that, both of my parents were entrepreneurs, and that's just something that I think from a very young age was ingrained in me.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up going to my mom's factory. She had a clothing factory. And so I grew up going there, and I loved the idea of being able to create a product and provide solutions for people, and also provide, money for people, to be able to employ people and to help them and to help their families was so inspiring to me. And so I think from a really young age, it was imprinted in me that I'm like, okay, no, I want to have my own company one day.
Yeah.
And, of course, in the beginning, were they a little apprehensive for me leaving this really stable, successful career? 100%, but they're very supportive. They see how hard we work. They see the traction that we're making, and so they're cheering us on for sure.
That's so good. I'm first generation Jamaican over here,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, my aunt still asks me to this day if I'm gonna like work in IT because I have an IT degree. I'm like,
Oh, nice.
girl, like
This
that
is
shit.
IT.
Yeah, this ship has sailed. Like the closest thing that I get to being like or using my techie skills is like with the podcast
Yeah.
or like content creation and stuff like that. I'm very good at editing and all the techie things, websites
Hmm.
and stuff like that, more than most creators because most creators just want to create.
Right.
But I'm good at that type of stuff too.
Yeah, the world is different, right? Like in 20, 30 years, the world has changed so much and created jobs like this, like podcasting, and even allowing Amanda and I to start this small startup.
Mhm.
I'm not sure this would have been possible for my mom, 50 years ago now,
Yeah.
when she
Speaking of
first.
startups, I saw this I saw this I guess quote or meme or something on Instagram last week. It said all of these internet entrepreneurs will tell you all this stuff about business other than where they got the money to start the business. So with starting Esas, did you all like have like crowdfunding or anything like that, or did you strictly started from your own finances?
We started from our own. So I saved and saved and saved, which I'm not good at doing. But I knew that if I wanted to start this, that I had to float myself for at least a year.
Yeah.
And so for, I would say, a year and a half, we bootstrapped, which is like the technical term for funding your own self.
Yeah.
And then we did start to raise money from friends and family.
Nice.
So yeah, the money piece is definitely difficult. It's surely a challenge. And
Mhm.
if there's any advice I have for anybody is stock up as much as you can because it's a crazy journey and you want to make sure that you're financially secure.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, this has been so good. Okay, so I have a never have I ever statement. We're going to play a round of never have I ever. And if you've done this before, you have to tell us, the story behind it and what it is. Okay. So, never have I ever made a product that I thought was good, but decided not to sell it and keep it for myself. Have you ever done that before? Hey, I know you're enjoying the episode, but I have something to tell you real quick. Did you know that I created a Patreon? Look, podcasting is fun. I absolutely love it, but it is not cheap.
And there have been so many people who have reached out to me that want to support the show somehow and keep the good vibes flowing. So I thought, why not create a Patreon? For as little as $3 a month, you can support the Friends of Beauty podcast and join a community of other loyal supporters of the show, just like you, okay? There are other tier levels available that unlock tons of exclusive Patreon-only content like behind-the-scenes clips, bonus interview content, monthly calls with me, discounts, and so much more. But no matter what tier level you decide to choose, I appreciate you so much, and I'm going to give you a shout out on the podcast when you join. So if you'd like to be a part of the exclusive Patreon community for the Friends of Beauty podcast, I'll leave the link right here and down below in the show notes for you to join. And as always, I appreciate your support so much. Now, let's go ahead and jump back into the episode.
No,
No.
actually, no, because if it's good, I want everyone to have it.
Okay.
It's like we want people to be healthy, and that's my like inspiration behind the brand, is just like making people healthy in the way that I can, obviously. And so if I feel like I've made a product that's really good, I'm excited for people to have it.
Yeah. What's the product that you're just like the most proud of? Like, this is my baby. Like,
Oh, wow.
I can't get rid of this. It has to stay.
The product that I'm most proud of. I don't want to say I'm proud of all, because that's just kind of like, I'm not answering the question. I think I'm really proud, I have to be honest, of the Colonia, because it's something I never thought that we would make. And it's something that people really love. And you can use it in so many different ways. And it allowed us to launch our business. It kind of put us on the map.
Yeah.
2 months after we launched, we got into Vogue and we didn't even know it. And so it's kind of like, that is the product that put us on the map. And so I think it's exciting to think a product that I grew up with, in Turkey and even in my home in America, is something I never thought it was a product that I would make when I grew up. So I think it's nice and it's very symbolic.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I had another question for you. Oh, yes, that's the question. Have you and Amanda ever disagreed on a product before that you thought would be good for the brand and just decided like to not do it?
Obviously we disagree a lot. We're both type A, but I think what helps is that we have a unified mission of giving our customers solutions and replacements for toxic products out there. So we've never disagreed to the point where we didn't launch something, because I think if we fully invested in developing the product, we're fully invested in making sure that it launches. And so, and just making sure that it kind of, we massage it from ideation to getting it to selling it. And so we've disagreed along the way with maybe how the product should be, but not necessarily the product itself.
Got you. Okay. What's been the biggest challenge so far with operating a brand at your level, as far as, wanting to have all natural ingredients and sourcing products in a way like that's good for us and the environment? Have you run into any challenges?
Oh yeah, every day. Anyone that tells you anything else is lying. Everything's a challenge. We manage and control the whole supply chain, which means that we don't outsource anything. We make everything ourselves, from developing the formulations to producing the formulations to making the extracts to everything. And so I think the challenge is juggling everything, making sure that we're not just stuck in the development process, and making sure that we're also, because we're a brand and we have to sell and we have to market. So I feel like the biggest challenge so far has been letting people know that we're here, right? So the marketing piece, because it's very expensive to market online. As you know, that's always been such a huge challenge, is just, being able to let people know that we're here, getting into stores, things like that. The production piece is something that we're very comfortable with. So that's like the easy part. And sometimes we have to make sure that we're not stuck in the development part, and that we're now a consumer facing brand. And so that's always a challenge.
Are you all going to retail, or are you already in retail?
So we are in some boutiques. We are in a couple hotels. We just got into the Four Seasons in Scottsdale.
Okay.
We're at another Fairmont hotel in Beverly Hills. we're in a bunch of medical spas, and we're in like 7 airports on the East Coast.
Mhm. How do you
And
broker those deals? Like, how do you get those deals?
yeah, so a few different ways, every which way we can possibly do it. There isn't just one way. So the airports, we were on a platform, a digital platform. And so the buyer for the airports found us on there. In terms of the medical spas, yeah, we just kind of went to them and we said, would you be interested in our product? During COVID, every store was closed, as you know, but the medical spas were open. And it just so happened that a lot of people took advantage of wearing a mask and getting procedures done. And we said, hey, these medical spas are open and they sell beauty products. Why not go there? And so we had a couple of doctors see us in maybe one medical spa. And so they reached out to us. And so we essentially launched it in a bunch of other medical spas.
Mhm.
And in terms of boutiques, same thing. We went to them and we said, we have these products. Would you be interested? So it's sort of a blend of people finding us and us pitching them.
Yeah, I like that. And like obviously products can be made without adding the harmful ingredients and things like that. But why do you think like the big brands or what is the reason? I don't know, that big brands choose not to go that route? Is it like a money thing?
Money thing is a big thing, right? Synthetic ingredients are cheaper.
Mhm.
They last longer, meaning that if you've used Tide or even, what's your favorite fragrance?
YSL.
YSL. So, and you probably, one of the reasons you probably love it is for its strength, and then it lasts really long.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, when we talk about long lasting fragrances, you're talking about certain musks that are synthetic that are really not that good for you, and they never actually biodegrade. So it's a combination of money and performance.
Mhm. Mhm. The black opium got me in a chokehold.
Yeah. It's a really nice scent. And listen, I mean, they make beautiful fragrances, and it's not a matter of doing away with that industry. It's just a matter of knowing that there are certain people out there that are looking for healthier options, and that's where we come in.
Mhm. Is there a way, do you think there's a way to like make dupes of these designer fragrances that are all natural?
Yes, to a certain extent, we do work with different ingredients. So the fragrance industry usually works with a palette of anywhere from 3 to 4,000 synthetic ingredients. So that's a lot of synthetic ingredients. Our palette is not nearly as large because we do work with organics and naturals. So they're harder to source, they're harder to procure. But we can get close. I don't know if I'd say we're in the business of duping. Everything we make is, I would, very unique and very signature. But we could try to see how close we get.
Yeah. Are there any natural ingredients that are not good, or natural fragrances that aren't good for the body?
Sure. Just like any ingredient, there's something called too much of a good thing.
Mhm.
And so it's not just about, they often say, the poison is in the dosage. So even when you're working with a good for you ingredient, you have to make sure that you're using it at the proper level.
Yeah.
And so we're always making sure it's not just about saying a blanket statement of, oh, it's natural, it's good for you. That's not the case. A lot of plants have toxins in them, right? Because it's a plant's defense mechanism against predators in the environment. So you're always making sure that we're, choosing the best for you ingredients, but also maintaining that, acceptable level in the product.
Yeah. 'Cause I saw like an Instagram reel this lady made of her daughter. Her daughter was like 2 years old, but going into puberty. Like she was like
Two?
two, sprouting like breasts and like going through the
Oh,
motions of like puberty at 2 years old. And she come to find out it was some product that she was using on her daughter that had like lavender in it, that was like triggering like stuff in her body. It was so crazy. Like the little girl had little boobs at
that's horrible.
2. So that's why I
Yeah.
asked that
I
question.
mean, that's crazy. And, it can also be, there are a lot of hormone disruptors in a lot of the products that we use nowadays.
Mhm.
And so there is this general tendency for people to see those changes earlier and earlier.
Mhm.
And that's kind of one of the reasons we're not using synthetics in our fragrances, is because a lot of those ingredients are hormone disruptors, endocrine disruptors.
Yeah. With having a 6-month-old, this question is totally for my best friend. She's pregnant right now.
Oh.
With you on your like your wellness journey and then, adopting that lifestyle, how was that when you were pregnant? Like what kind of products were you using to maintain like your beauty and health and wellness, but that's still safe for you and the baby?
So, luckily with scent, I think I was covered there. I
Mhm.
just used our products. The colonia I use sort of all over my body as a fragrance. Sometimes if I didn't want something too strong, I would just use the colonia. I would use it as a deodorant. So I was good there. We do make skincare as well. So I didn't have to purchase anything. I was going to put that out there. I was lucky enough just to kind of go into our little vault of products and use them. So we have these amazing face oils that we haven't launched yet. So I was using those. Yeah, I love them. They're amazing. Cleansing balms. And so all these amazing products.
Mhm.
And very minimal, right? I was tired. I'm going to be honest. I was really tired. I didn't have the extra energy to do a whole, makeup routine in the morning. So it was very minimal products.
Okay, I like that. The colonia is, like you said, all purpose. So,
It was all purpose. It's such a go-to. And it's great, even when after the baby is born, because you're changing diapers all the time.
mhm.
And so it's a great product to have at the diaper changing table. After you change the diaper, just quickly cleanse your hands and pick up your baby and go on
Okay.
with your day.
I love that.
Mhm.
Okay, so can you explain your motto to us? The look forward to look back. What does that mean to you in Esas Beauty?
So when Amanda and I were developing the brand, before we even came up with the word SS, we talked about what are the values of the brand. And she's first generation, I'm first generation. We were both actually born at the same hospital in Queens, albeit like 10 years apart, something like that.
Okay,
So which is
okay.
kind of funny. We didn't know that until last year. And like most first generation Americans, you have the support, or your parents need the support of their parents. So her grandparents helped raise her alongside her parents. My grandparents helped raise me alongside my parents as well. And we talk about the values that they taught us, respecting one another, respecting the environment. They knew what to do before they became trendy, like sustainability. We were always taught sustainability. They just didn't have the fancy word for it.
Right.
They always taught us to eat organic. They just didn't have the fancy word for it.
Mhm.
And so we're like, it's so funny. Everything our grandparents taught us is essentially what SS is rooted in. And not only the sort of principles, but also the products. My grandfather growing up, he was really obsessed with taking care of himself more than my grandma. And he would take things like, olive oil and put it all over his face and his hair, or lemons and like squeeze it on his skin. And he died. He was over 95 years old when he died, and he barely had any wrinkles. I'm not kidding you. And the idea is that there are so many older traditions that have worked for so many centuries. Why not look back to see what people have been doing for hundreds of years and using modern science, optimize them for today? And so that's kind of the basis of our brand.
Mm.
Everything you see is rooted in an older tradition, but scientifically optimized for today. Even our candles.
I absolutely love that because I was going to ask you about like Turkish like beauty rituals that may
Mhm.
show up in your brand, or you already mentioned that with the colonia, but I
Yeah.
absolutely love that about your grandfather.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
I think, subconsciously, he's the one that instilled sort of that beauty thing. If I had a pimple, I was 12 years old, of course, we were walking around with pimples. He would smash up aspirin and he'd put it on my pimple. And of course, here I am, fast forward 10 years later, I'm in college, I'm studying chemistry. I'm like, wait a second, everything he did was rooted in science. He just didn't have the words for it. And so in aspirin, you have that salicylic acid, you know? And so the same thing with lemon, citric acid. And so these are things that now all beauty chemists are using to make these products,
Mm-hmm.
but it's based in products and rituals that people were using for many, many years.
I love that. Is there any way that Amanda's background, her Filipino background, shows up in the brand as well?
Absolutely. In terms of the principles and values, and a few products that we have coming down the pipeline are rooted in traditions from her background as well.
Oh man, this is so cool. You guys is like the coolest girls in the world.
Aw,
This
thank
is so
you.
dope. Oh my
We
God.
not really, but we try.
You are, you are. You're doing such amazing work for, for the environment, for people's health. Like that's not a small task.
No, it's not.
So what do you want your legacy to be when it comes to the brand?
Legacy to be when it comes to, you know, honestly, what it comes down to is us just wanting to help people, and the way that we can, right? We're not doctors. We're not necessarily curing anyone of any illnesses, but if we can help prevent you from, reducing your toxic intake, whatever that means, that's what we want to do. We've had several people reach out to us saying, we had no idea that this was even going to happen. People that were recovering from cancer or people who have chronic illnesses saying, thank you so much for making these products. I've been avoiding fragrance until I came across your brand. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, like that's so amazing to hear. Like, as far as I'm concerned, we've already done our job. And if we continue to do that on a bigger level, then I'll die a happy person.
I love that. What's next for the brand? I know you mentioned some products coming up, but what else is going on?
Yeah, so we have new products coming out next year that we're super excited about, centered around sort of like your home scented essentials. So
Mhm.
we're going into the laundry space, which is we're really, really excited about. And then of course we're going into finally launch eventually our skincare and cosmetics in the upcoming year and a half. So
Yeah.
we have some fun things coming down the pipeline.
Nice. Let me know about that because I'm a makeup artist. I didn't even
Oh,
tell you.
are you? Oh,
I'm a
nice.
makeup artist. So when the skincare and the makeup comes out, the cosmetics, let me
Awesome. Yes, we'll definitely need your help and your feedback then.
let me know. So before you go, I have to ask you the Friends in Beauty rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So whatever comes to your mind first, just go ahead and spit it out. You'll be amazing. So the first one, what are the top three keys to your success so far?
Perseverance, fortitude, and keeping it real.
All right. How do you measure your success?
Customer feedback.
Okay. And what's the best advice you've ever received or a piece of advice that's just always stuck with you?
The best advice has been, if you don't ask, you don't get.
hmm So true.
Ask for what you want.
Yeah. What advice would you give to another beauty startup right now who is just having a difficult time with seeing results and they're just ready to give up?
Don't give up. Keep at it. It's really a perseverance game. And the people who win are the ones who just don't stop. Listen to your customer and, pivot as much as you need to, but don't give up.
Yeah, absolutely. What's a resource that helps you in your business that you could share with the friends and beauty community?
A resource? Hmm.
And it could
And
be anything from like, I don't know, something behind the scenes, how you stay organized or how you do your research. I'm not sure. Whatever you want to share.
I have to think about this one for a second. We obviously use a lot of things just to kind of get through the day, but organizational tool that we use is something called Asana. It's
Oh,
an
yeah.
amazing app. It just kind of helps us organize our day.
Like task management.
Task management. Yeah.
Okay. And the last one, I just want you to fill in the blank and just say, my name is blank. And the key to longevity and success is whatever you think it is.
My name is Seda, and the key to longevity and success is not giving up and persevering.
Absolutely. Before you go, share, social media information and how you would like people to connect with you and the brand.
Awesome. So our Instagram handle is at SSNYC. So is our website, ssnyc.com. You can either DM us, LinkedIn me or Amanda, or reach out to us at hello@ssnyc.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Seda. I learned so much today. Like this is like no
Yeah.
joke. I learned so much and I'm really
Awesome.
so appreciative for you, sharing with us all of your knowledge. And I'm so
Thank you.
excited for everything that you have coming up.
Thank you so much for having us. This was honestly really fun and easy. And if you ever have any questions, we'd love to send you some product. So just if you don't mind shooting us your address,
Okay.
we'd love to send it to you as a thank you. But thank you for having us. We truly appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Friends in Beauty podcast. Don't forget, sharing is caring. Share this episode with at least one friend in beauty, and subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts so that other friends in beauty can find this show. Plus, we'd love to hear your feedback. Connect with us on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty, hashtag Friends in Beauty to join the conversation, and join our Friends in Beauty Facebook community to stay connected. Talk to you soon.